All right, we're back. Canada is back. So we apologize about the 2 week hiatus. Well, Daniel was in India running around doing all sorts of weird things, and then he had to go back home, and he was busy. And now that he's back eating beef burgers,
Yep.
yes,
India, I'm going to be
that's the
honest.
first video Daniel sent me.
Well, I didn't send it to you. My girlfriend sent it to you. But yeah, it was
Yeah,
just
your
me eating a
girlfriend did.
bacon cheeseburger. My girlfriend stealthily filming me. Just, yeah,
You're like,
that's the first video.
ah!
I was so happy. I was so happy. Oh my God, so happy. Blasphemed in my. Don't worry, I blasphemed in my religion too. It was all around blasphemy.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So you had pork.
And it was a
Oh
cheeseburger,
my
so
goodness. Oh my
it
goodness.
was
Oh,
thorough.
all the gods
Yes, the
will
Hindu
curse you. All of
conspiracy
them.
was not happy with me that day.
Yeah. So today we have tons of things to talk about. So maybe we can start with the main. There are different news segments that I had planned to discuss. There are a few segments here and there, but let's start with the main segment, the liberal primaries, and obviously I just I should not be laughing, but it is kind of funny because the way Ruby was kind of running her campaign, it was quite clear that Ruby Dhalla was trolling the Liberal
Not
Party of
long for
Canada.
this world.
But uh yeah, so this is what Ruby had written. Disqualified. The establishment in the Liberal Party of Canada clearly wants to hold on to power. They could not handle the fact that I was the only obstacle to Mark Carney's coronation, both at the debate and the ballot. So give everyone the background of what has happened here.
Yeah, I mean, so we all remember, if you're fans of the show, when Chandra Arya was kicked out, and they gave the "you don't speak French good enough." This is them kicking Ruby Dhalla out because they wanted to. And listen, Ruby got it. Like, Ruby is absolutely right about why they kicked her out. Yes, she was an obstacle to Mark Carney's coronation in the debate and at the ballot box. It was more the debate than the ballot box because the votes don't really matter inside like these things. Like, they could have just thrown out all the votes they wanted, and then they could have just declared like, oh, Mark Carney won anyway, and fudged it. Like, they could have stolen the election anyway they wanted to. Because again, Elections Canada does not monitor the internal party elections. So the Liberal Party, if they get caught red-handed, like ripping up Ruby Dhalla ballots, let's say, and just stuffing in extra Mark Carney ballots, and it's on camera, they could say, yeah, Mark Carney is the winner. And the worst thing they could do is be forced to launch an investigation and be forced to investigate themselves. So Justin Trudeau will investigate Justin Trudeau and find out that Justin Trudeau is innocent. That is the last 10 years of Canadian politics. So I don't think they definitely did not want her on the debate stage. They didn't want her, again, taking shots at Mark Carney and saying lower taxes and all this. They didn't want the clips going viral on the internet of Mark Carney getting dunked on by a brown woman. They did not want that. So they just kicked her out, stole the money as well, because listen, there were rumors swirling about this 2 years ago. Like, we all knew anyone who's in the know has known that the Liberals have tried to bring in Mark Carney for a long time. Because he's like, I don't want to say the brains behind the operation, because there's no brains behind this operation, but he's the perceived brains behind this operation. You know, the guy, like, you look at a picture of him, like, he looks like he's like literally 110 pounds in a suit. Like, I know we're not the biggest guys, the two of us, but like, this is the epitome of someone who would be blown over by a stiff breeze. Like, I don't know how much power this guy projects. But what I'm reading on the internet, because again, sorry for not watching the debate, but I had a family thing. It was my nephew's bris. He's in from out of town. So yeah, like, he's just a boring, bureaucratic, global banker, European, friends with Ghislaine Maxwell and Prince Andrew, like, just trash. But he's been turned into like the second coming by the Canadian media. And it's pretty obvious that once the Canadian people start to hear Mark Carney and not just have this, oh, wow, Mark Carney, like here's 7 opinion ads in the Globe and Mail about why Mark Carney is amazing. Wow, he must be doing really good. Once they see him at a debate and just watch someone, as soon as because eventually he will have to go into a scenario where all the conditions aren't perfectly climate controlled for him. And then he'll fall apart like Chrystia Freeland has when she doesn't get the entire media backing her every move. So, yeah, Ruby Dhalla was kicked out because they didn't want her in there. This is the Mark Carney show. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Like, it looks like they don't want to rig the ballot box. Looks like they want to rig it before the votes are cast.
Yeah, and just to back you, this is Ruby literally tweeting from her own handle. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is, you see, was running to be Canada's next prime minister and leader of the Liberal Party. She's clearly written here in a reply to Bratney. Bratney asked her, Ruby, is it true that they're trying to steal your funds for Carney? I heard a rumor they're going to keep that cash. To which the reply was, yes, they are trying to keep the donations. We are asking for it to be returned to the donors. We have filed an appeal. This is such a disgusting decision. Like, why? If a candidate has gone, the least decency you can show as a political outfit is to give the donations back, right? Like, why would you do this? Why would you want to keep the money of innocent Canadian donors? This is not about the party X
Because
or
I think
party
they
Y.
know they
And,
have
and, and for a party that says, is this the Team Canada approach?
stealing money from the little guy to give to the little party. This is the Team Canada approach. Yeah, the Team Canada approach is yell at Donald Trump, do nothing, and then steal money from Canadians under the guise of Team Canada. That's the Team Canada approach. And you'd be foolish to pretend it's anything else than that. So Ruby Dhalla isn't doing that. But good news, Canada. I still have a shot at becoming prime minister. I spoke to Xi Jinping, who's the head of the Liberal Party, and he says that it is a race between me and Mark Carney. So, again, votes don't matter from Canadians. So my Canadian supporters, you can vote for me, but we don't like you. You're gross and icky. Ugh. I would like my foreign interference vote to come through. So everyone in India and China and Brazil and Mozambique and the little islands where they speak in clicking, those people, all of you show up, vote. We want you, especially if you're a hostile nation. So Iran, North Korea, China. Yes, we want your votes. So get out, vote for me. But again, votes don't matter. The only thing that matters is shady backroom deals. So Mark Carney has Prince Andrew. He has Ghislaine Maxwell. I am working on getting endorsed by the ghost of Jeffrey Epstein. And if Jeffrey Epstein's ghost can endorse me, I do think I have a good shot at becoming Liberal Party leader. Failing that, I will find the next. I will try Harvey Weinstein as the next most famous. But maybe Diddy. If I can get Diddy's endorsement, Diddy and Beyonce, American celebrities good. So I'm looking for a Diddy Beyonce endorsement. And once I lock that up, I should become the next Prime Minister of Canada.
Yeah, what did you make of those polls in between? Did you see that poll that was shared that after the announcement of Mark Carney, the Liberals are really up and they're in the poll? Then there was another poll that was shared by Polling Canada, which showed the Liberals were back to 27%. So I'm not able to understand, why is Mark Carney that important, or are now polls in Canada also getting rigged? Like, I don't understand.
So some
I'm
polls
not
are
saying,
getting
yeah,
rigged.
I know either way.
So some polls are getting rigged. Like Ecos was fake polls straight out the bat. I do think there's a bit of a liberal bump, right? And it's one because the people who hated Trudeau, with Trudeau gone, the Liberals do a bit better. It looks like. Mark Carney is a bit of a fresh face because he wasn't in the government. That's why he's trying to play himself as an outsider because he knows the Trudeau brand and the Liberal brand is so toxic. And then I do think Donald Trump has really helped the Liberal Party a lot with his threats to annex us and start a trade war and whatever. because with Trump threatening us, it really rallies the left-wing Canadians to the Liberal Party, because a lot of left-wing Canadian nationalism is just anti-Americanism. They don't really, right? There's no need for Canadian identity other than we hate America, we're not America. So it's really rallied that where because Donald Trump is right-wing, now there's a bit of more fear towards a Canadian right-wing party, because Canadian right-wing party might be more friendly to Trump. That might then end the trade war and lead to a decade of prosperity, and that's not a good idea, because then we won't have enough diversity, climate change, or whatever. So yeah, so someone put out a decent tweet I was reading coming up the elevator coming home. Like there's two Canadas. I think Anthony Coach will give them that. There's two Canadas. There's those that were 50 plus, who 50 plus year old property owners who have had their net worth go up due to the last 10 years of inflation and live in nice communities who are removed from the consequences of the policies that they vote for. And then there's everyone else. And that kind of explains the Carney bump. The Carney's supporters are 50 plus year old white people who own property, who have good jobs, who live in good neighborhoods, who don't see the crime, who don't see all this, who never have to face the consequences of the policies they vote for. And then they like Mark Carney more than Justin Trudeau, because Justin Trudeau became a bit of a buffoon, and they don't like buffoonery. They like a good liberal climate change lunatic in a suit.
Yeah, just to back you up, I mean, I don't understand what Chrystia Freeland is trying to do over here. This was a recent clip that I came across.
People are recognizing that this is such a crucial moment for Canada, and they are recognizing that our party is the party to fight for Canada. They're also recognizing, by the way, Pierre Poilievre is not the guy who can do it. He is maple syrup MAGA. All he wants to do is imitate Trump. And I don't think Canadians trust him to stand up to Trump. And so I think that's giving us a lot of energy. And that's why I'm really putting myself forward as the person, as the woman who can do it.
I mean, I just went to sleep even in that 30-second clip.
Yeah, it's either
Seriously,
you want to go to
what is
sleep listening to her, or you want to bang your head through a wall. There's no, those are the only two modes of Chrystia Freeland. It's, oh my God, I'm going to fall asleep, or this grating shrew is driving me crazy. I'm going to bash my head through a wall to get away from it.
Yeah, and Andy Lee had shared this. This is Chrystia Freeland's donation records. So maybe she has a lot of explaining to do too. Some very interesting donations over here. Very interesting donations. I'm not saying whether they're right or wrong, but Andy Lee has shared it. So she just shared this. She says Ruby Dhalla was disqualified for donation irregularities. Can the Liberal Party explain what this is from Chrystia Freeland's return? Why it was not flagged, and whether the candidates are being equally scrutinized? I don't know. Just laying it out. Why aren't people asking the same questions from every Liberal Party candidate? But clearly some Liberal Party candidates are more equal than others, and I don't know. Is this, and I normally don't like to talk about racism because I'm very careful about when I have these discussions. Like, I've often said that a lot of things that are being allegedly put under the racism banner are actually not a case of racism, but they're just a case of stupid moronic politics, and it has nothing to do with racism. But first Chandra, Arya, and now Ruby Dhalla, they clearly do not want a brown person that does not listen to them.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. Do I think this is more about their color of the skin or their race? No. I think this is a fact that they were sort of heterodox in a way. They were a threat to the way of liberal. So if Ruby Dhalla and Chandra Arya acted like Katrina Gold and Frank Biles, which is basically, yeah, the last 10 years was good, and I'm here to stand up to Trump because we have a Canada for Team Canada, and we need to stand up to Trump, and America is bad, and we need to fairly fight. Right? If they did that, then they'd be allowed to come in, right? Okay. But the fact that they were heterodox, that they actually threatened Mark Carney and showed a different pathway forward for the Liberal Party, that's why they were kicked out. And now to the racism part, there was racism in the way they went after these people, right? They did use racism, like they threw the foreign interference stuff at Ruby Dhalla and Chandra Arya, and whatever. So the Liberals, because they're self-righteous, they know the media is on their side, they'll never be accused of racism. So they can use racism whenever they want because they don't even think it is racist because they believe they can't be racist because the conservatives are the racist. So the reason why they were kicked out wasn't because they were brown, but they were kicked out because they're heterodox. And because they were brown, they were attacked in a racist way because the Liberals, when someone is outside the lines for them, they attack however they feel is necessary. And when a brown person doesn't play ball with the Liberals, they get racist.
It's fascinating. Now I want to play this clip. I don't know if you've heard Joe Rogan. Listen to this. This is not the original one. This is a new one. This is, I think, a few days ago. Just listen to Joe Rogan.
Every government wants to eventually completely and totally control its population because it's way easier for them to make money. And that's what they like to do.
Yeah.
They like to make money. They like to be in bed with the lobbyists and the military industrial complex and the pharmaceutical industrial complex. And they like to fucking impose their will on people. And if you can't express yourself and say, hey, this is fucked up, this is crazy, why am I doing this? It's like, these studies show that you're not correct. Like, you can't say things right now you can't do in Canada. It's not the same. Like, their ability to express themselves on the internet has been severely limited. It's real weird, man. It's real weird, and it's happening right. You could walk there. If you wanted to, you could walk there. And it's fucked. It's like it's on the same patch of land as us, and it's fucked. It just shows you what can happen here if you don't have the right laws. Because people like that they pretend
you guys
that
are on first name basis.
Yeah, that cocksucker. They pretend that they're, and I don't talk this way about anybody.
No, I'm really surprised.
I genuinely despise people like that. I think it's good to say it publicly because people need to understand like what these people are doing. These people are leading you on the road to legitimate communism. Like he's leading that country on a road to legitimate communism. It's very dangerous. And I think most Canadians are fed up with it at this point. It's just like the party up there has so much control. And he's been forced to resign. So he's got to step down. And just hopefully they don't get some new slick talker to con them into the same old bullshit. Hopefully someone comes along that has like real meaningful change.
Well,
Now,
we got
I
a new
have followed Joe
slick talker
Rogan for a while. Those are really harsh words. Those are really harsh words.
Yeah, and he
Joe
kind of hit the
Rogan
nail on the head.
actually doesn't say stuff like that. It's actually insane that Joe Rogan said that. And they had a little meltdown in the left in Canada after Joe Rogan said that. Joe had to write a giant post explaining what he meant. Literally, he had to write a giant post where he explained what he meant. And it's oh my god, it's like, so this was February 22nd. I'll share, like, imagine just one tweet, one podcast clip of Joe Rogan where he's just honestly speaking the truth, and then Joe has to give this giant explanation. I had a conversation recently where we were talking about Canadians having the ability to communicate online limited, where many people said that's not true. And even John Cleese chimed in. This is what I was talking about. He shares the Online News Act and Online Harms Act. And listen, Joe Rogan doesn't have to defend himself, but I think Joe Rogan has done Canadians a great service by actually swearing at Justin Trudeau. I think Joe has done a great service to Canada because he has such a giant listener base in Canada. What do you think?
Yeah, like again, this is the fact that American podcasters, popular American podcasters, now the liberals can try and play it off by being, oh, he's right wing, he had Trump on, but this is the stuff that gets them. It always has. Canadian liberals like being the darlings of the world. They just like, oh, Canada, it's so calm and relaxed. What a good, quiet, boring country. And then when Justin Trudeau makes a fool of himself and the Liberals like do crazy stuff, Canadian Liberals don't care about their rights at all. They don't care about my rights, your rights, their rights. As long as they're in the right, they don't care about rights. But they do care about the perception of like Canadian human rights by Americans and Europeans. So the fact that Joe Rogan is embarrassing them globally, that actually makes an impact, right? Again, they don't like, listen, they could watch me and my supporters. They could watch a live stream of the RCMP break into my house, put a gun to my head, say, "You posted this on Twitter. You are not allowed to post on Twitter anymore," and just beat the living hell out of me, and then just drag me into a thing, and then I could get hung from the CN Tower when we don't have the death penalty. They wouldn't give a shit. They wouldn't care. Oh, he deserved it. He was right wing or whatever. He didn't believe in climate change or whatever the hell it is. But if Europeans or Americans said, "Oh my God, what's happening in Canada? Look at this," then they would care. They wouldn't care about their own rights. They wouldn't care about what happened to me. They would care that Americans see it and go, "Whoa, those are our priorities." And having those as your priorities are pretty warped. And it's kind of explained the last 10 years of Canadian policy.
Now I want to play this video. This is so freaking disturbing that this just, you think you want to end this, and then, so this is from Ontario, your province and my province. So it should concern us that the current premier and Ontario, it's early voting has already started, 25th, 26th, right?
Yeah, early voting already
In
started.
Ontario, Dan?
Vote is on Thursday. I'm voting for Jim Kalaharos and the New Blue Party. But yeah, you have New Blue, which is the National Conservative Party. Jim's a good guy. They're not going to win, but if you want to protest vote in Ontario and you're a conservative, New Blue is the party for you. And then you have Fat Trudeau, you have Lady Trudeau, you have other Lady Trudeau, and then you have Green Party lunatic Trudeau.
So let's just look at this. I'm sharing a clip right now for the audio listeners. This is Doug Ford, who attends a Gurdwara, Nanak Mission Center in Brampton. And I'll explain what's happening here. There is a gentleman right besides him, and we'll try to explain who that gentleman is. I mean, I don't know what Doug Ford is doing, but clearly Doug Ford doesn't care. And he's just put money there, and now he's moving out. And so who is with Doug Ford? So now I'll read the tweet. Canada's political, this is a Sikh writing it, by the way. Canada's political system is broken. The current premier of Ontario and leader of the Progressive Conservative Party, Doug Ford, visited Gurdwara Nanak Mission in Brampton alongside Khalistani extremist Bhagat Singh Brar, who was on Canada's no-fly list, along with Prakar Singh Dhulai. Now, people who might say, "Oh, this is fake news," ladies and gentlemen, I think CBC, who both Daniel and I respect so much, even CBC has covered this news about. Okay, so there you go, guys. This is all Canada has come down to. Imprisoned in my own home, Sikh activists claim India is using no-fly list to harass them. Parkar Singh Dhulai and Bhagat Singh Brar want the Supreme Court of Canada to overturn designation. Oh my God. I mean, and they are a Khalistani, okay? Even they'll write, Dhulai, an outspoken champion of an independent Sikh homeland. What is an independent Sikh homeland? That's just a nice way of saying he's a Khalistani. That's all it is. It's a Khalistani. So, I mean, our system is being manipulated by Indian officials for anyone that is speaking out against India, he says. Oh my God. I mean, seriously. I mean, what is Doug Ford doing? What is Doug Ford doing? Like, what is wrong with Doug Ford? Has he lost his brains? These guys are open Khalistanis. Why is he going along with open Khalistanis? Like, is he crazy?
Did they pay
Has
him
Doug
money?
Ford lost it?
No, this has always been Doug Ford. Whoever pays Doug Ford money gets what they want. Doug Ford's the most corrupt politician in Canadian history. If you want something from Doug Ford, give him money. He will give it to you. Doesn't matter who you are. Does not matter who you are. You could have a vest of C4 strapped to your chest. Active, convicted. Osama bin Laden could walk into Doug Ford's office with a ticking time bomb on him, with $1 million cash. He'll get whatever he wants. Whatever he wants. It's Doug Ford. So he obviously got money from something. Listen, why does Ontario, since Doug Ford's come in, the amount of fake driving schools, truck driving schools, has tripled or something? Right? These fake truck driving schools for Khalistanis to come in and learn how to run drugs. They're just multiplying all over Ontario. Why? Because Doug Ford's letting them. Why? Most likely he's getting a kickback from it. It's Doug Ford. He does not care about Canada. He does not care about Ontario. He cares about getting money for Doug Ford. That's always been his priority. It's give me money. Now, you could say he's like, again, the only defense of Doug Ford as a conservative is the Liberals will do whatever they want for all these terrorist organizations, and Doug Ford will too. But if a good guy bribes Doug Ford, he could do good things. You just have to bribe him to do it, right? I don't have tens of millions of dollars, right? If I was a billionaire, I would just bribe Doug Ford into being a good prime minister of Ontario. I'd just spend $10 million a year bribing Doug Ford to like not run the province into the ground. Be like, okay, Doug, you're gonna get this money to be a conservative premier. Okie dokie. Yeah, Doug, how much is the terrorist paying you? This much? Okay. Here's double that. Stay away from the terrorists. There. I would fix it. It's money. It's just give him money. If a billionaire wants to solve Ontario and get us a good premier, all you have to do is give cash to Doug Ford in exchange for favors. Just make those favors good governance, lower taxes, and stop palling around with terrorists. But the terrorists are paying him. So he's pro-Khalistan. That's what it is. It's what it's always been.
Yeah. It's just disgusting. And I just wanted to show how, you talked about illicit donations and stuff like that. I'm going to play a clip of Paramjit Singh Pamma. So I'm reading a tweet by the same handle, Navdeep Singh. This is Paramjit Singh Pamma, a terrorist that can be heard in an audio saying that over £1 million was spent on the Khalistan London Declaration, and 60k pounds was given to each guest for delivering a 15-minute speech, including Lord Nazir. Just listen to this clip, and this is in London. This is the clip that I'm playing, and you can cry your heart out.
ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਫਰਮ ਹਾਇਰ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਆ, ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 1.25 ਲੱਖ ਪਾਉਂਡ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਹਰੇਕ ਪੇਪਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਵੀ ਮੇਨ ਸਟ੍ਰੀਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਇਲੈਕਟ੍ਰੋਨਿਕ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਆ ਉਹਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਵਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੁਲਾਉਣੇ ਆ ਨਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੋ 60 ਹਜ਼ਾਰ ਪਾਉਂਡ 15 ਮਿੰਟ ਦਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ, ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਸਾਡਾ 1 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਪਾਉਂਡ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਖਰਚਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ।
So basically it's a Punjabi clip, but what I have said is literally what is being said there in the tweet. And see, these things are very important to discuss. And the same handle had shared this thread also on SFJ, Pannu's organization. And the thread is worth looking into in its entirety. So I'm sharing because, see, I believe in giving credit to the person who has written it, so that if somebody wants to question them, they can go and question them for what it's worth. And so this is the thread shared again by this handle Navdeep Singh at Navdeep_UK on X. So this says, who's really funding SFJ's Khalistan agenda? SFJ and Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, who organized referendums for Khalistan, have spent millions of dollars. There's a strong case for investigating the source of these funds and potential misappropriation, the abuse of relevant US laws. Then the second tweet says, in 2009, Pannu registered SFJ Inc., which received federal tax exemption as a public charity. He was required to file Form 990, but failure to do so for 3 years leads to automatic revocation. In the US, charities must file Form 990 to maintain tax exempt status. And he shared the two images of the thing. it's a very, very, very interesting thread. I'm not going to say something either way or the other, but I just came across this thread which was very interesting. Then the next one says Pannu, a lawyer himself, knew that failing to file Form 990 for 3 years would revoke Six for Justice Incorporated tax exempt. Yet he did nothing. In 2012, the IRS revoked it, but donations kept flowing. Was this just a legal loophole or something bigger? Again, auto revocation list screenshot has been shared for Six for Justice. Then the next tweet says in 2019, Pannu re-registered the organization, but this time under a new name, Six for Justice International instead of Six for Justice Inc. Was this an attempt to reset tax compliance history? Ask the Twitter handle. Then the next tweet says by 2022, IRS once again revoked the exempt status of Six for Justice International for the same violation, failure to submit Form 990. Interestingly, around the same time, Pannu purchased a lavish bungalow in Ontario, Canada. I think that is just innuendo that cannot be proven anyway. And he shared images. If SFJ Inc. was banned in 2012, who funds the 2018 Khalistan London Declaration where 1 million was spent? And after the SFJ International faced the same fate in 2022, who financed the referendums in post 2022? Is there any alleged money laundering at play? I'm not going to ask my own questions, but I have shared this. I think these are important questions that need to be asked of organizations that claim to make a lot of these things. It is very interesting what these organizations do and how these organizations operate because um, the amount of money they raise is actually, yeah, I would freaking have to sell an arm and leg to actually even raise 1/10 of that kind of money. But it's really scary that these organizations are raising this kind of money. And what's even more scary is that politicians in Canada hobnob with such kind of people despite knowing the kind of historical record they have. And now this is something that really disturbed me. This is a tweet or a X post of 17th February 2025 by Canada's premier intelligence agency. This is what CSIS shared. I read, last week CSIS Director Dan Rogers welcomed Special Representative Amira Al-Gawabi to discuss the important work we must continue to do together to combat Islamophobia and all forms of hate. Is this a job of an intelligence agency?
It's fascinating.
Like, I'm so confused.
No, it's fascinating, one, that they had this meeting, let's say 4 days before the picture is posted. Then CSIS themselves post the picture. CSIS doesn't tweet anything that they didn't vet, which means they wanted to show that, hey, we're doing an Islamophobia thing. Amir Al-Ghabri has been a Hamas supporter, pretty straight up. She used to be part of the NCCM, which is CARE for Canada. It's CARE Canada. And it's considered by the United Arab Emirates to be a proxy of the Muslim Brotherhood, which it openly is, and a terrorist organization, which is the words of the United Arab Emirates. They classify CARE as such. So it's fascinating that CSIS would put this out. It's one thing to meet with her. Okay, that's a bad idea. But for that, then it's another thing if she were to put something out. Okay, but they put it out. I would not be shocked. I know there was some denial of Peter Navarro saying, oh, no, we're not thinking of kicking Canada the Five Eyes. I wouldn't be shocked if Canada gets kicked at the Five Eyes. Listen, we recruit our intelligence agency agents from the Muslim Brotherhood and the Khalistanis, and we're compromised by China. Listen, I'm a Canadian patriot. I love this country, and I hope that we fix it and get back on track and blah, 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 blah. But knowing what I know, if I was an American, if I was Trump, if I was the American president, if I was an American NSA CIA guy, I would put a fatwa on sharing anything with Canada. I would say anything shared to Canada is likely to go straight to China, Iran, or Russia, or anywhere else. Canada should not be trusted. Canada's not a trusted partner. We will inform them We will send them information about stuff on their own soil and hope they deal with it. But I would put out a notice saying anything you share with Canadian intelligence, assume it's being read by the Chinese and the Iranians. Because it probably is. And it sucks to say that. And I wish it wasn't that way. But why are they meeting with America? Why the Islamophobia representative lady? Why?
Yeah, and there was this article that has come up with the Financial Times. I think this is the Financial Times, which says, quote, White House official pushes to axe Canada from Five Eyes intelligence group. Peter Navarro wants to increase pressure on the country that Donald Trump has threatened to annex. Now, this is something very disturbing, that they are trying to remove Canada from the Five Eyes network, and the Canadians are worried about imaginary, pronouns.
Yeah. And get it under control, CSIS. No one made you tweet out that you're meeting with the Muslim Brotherhood lady. You did that. I mean, the intelligence agencies need a complete overhaul. Complete overhaul. I wouldn't mind actually burning the RCMP.
I'm just trying to
down
think, like,
and then building it back up again. I don't think that's the craziest thing. Like, just get rid of CSIS for everyone.
It has to make some sense, right?
And then go back and pick up
it has
the
to
pieces.
make some sense.
Makes no sense. The only Occam's razor is the intelligence agencies.
I'm genuinely to make it.
Like,
It's just,
name me another way.
So confuses me as an Indian.
Yeah. This is what Indians don't get, because like in India, if you're like pro-India, that's just like what an Indian should be. Why wouldn't an Indian be pro-India? Yeah, some crazy commies and whatever, and some far left quasi-jihadis. Okay, but for the most part, out of 1.5 billion people, you could say over 1.4 billion people in India are Indians that are pro-India. That's not the way it is in Canada. Patriotism was always scoffed at by one side of the political aisle here, which is why, and all those people have turned their patriotism into anti-Americanism. So, being a hawk on Canadian security and Canadian issues in Canada is not, you don't find any of that in the Liberal Party anymore. And they're the dominant cultural force here. So us patriots are sort of relegated to, look at them waving their flags, shouting their, that's so American. We don't need that. We're above that. We're better than that. And this is where it leads you. I mean, there's consequences to the last 10 years of our choices. Like, choices have consequences. You keep voting for Trudeau, you're going to have consequences. Like, this is a man with utter disdain for the country, utter disdain for the national security of the country. This is a man who was bringing in ISIS fighters, had no problem bringing in ISIS fighters, attacked anyone who said, couldn't even say, yeah, we're going to, ISIS fighters. No, don't worry. No one from ISIS is coming in. ISIS is too far. No, Canadian is a Canadian. They can be a powerful voice for de-radicalization. My favorite Justin Trudeau quote from 2015. It's an underrated Justin Trudeau quote because there's a lot of bangers from 2015. Like, because it's 2015, the budget will balance itself, grow the economy from the heart outwards. But my favorite 2015 Justin Trudeau quote is, if you kill your enemies, they win. And that's, yes, Sun Tzu, part 2. The art of... If you kill your enemies, they win.
So what do you kill yourself?
Like, I understand what he's trying to say, because again, I speak fluent Trudeau, unfortunately. Like, this isn't something I tried to study. It's just that was forced on me. People say I'm not very good with languages, but I am fluent in Trudeau. And what this means is, what he is trying to say is when you kill a terrorist, like his brother and his sons will be sad, and then they'll become terrorists, and that's what they want, is to continue the terrorism. So the only way to stop terrorism is to hug the terrorism away. Right? Obama's 2009 Cairo speech. That's what Justin Trudeau was trying to say tomorrow. But instead he got a bit fancy and said, if you kill your enemies, they win. Which is just an absolute banger of a Trudeau quote. Just a real underrated Trudeau quote, in my view. Like, but that's the man who's run this country for the last 10 years. Straight into the ground.
Allegedly, by the way, this was reported onto X that Mark Carney is so bad that his French is so bad that he said, "We fully agree with Hamas."
Then they do. They said,
Sucks
no,
at
we agree.
French.
I mean, like, even if you tried to say we agree on Hamas, no, he agrees with Hamas. Like, where's Mark Carney different than Hamas? Like, okay, maybe two-state solution, Hamas is this and that, but like, Mark Carney's never condemned Hamas. He's never, like, I think he had to say something when the Beavis children were like, I think he had to say something about that. But Mark Carney's more pro-Hamas than he is pro-Israel. He's a standard Canadian liberal. Put him, chuck him into truth serum, and you know, who do you identify with more, Benjamin Netanyahu or Yahya Sinwar? See what he says.
Did you see Jagmeet Singh's new video?
Oh, I saw a bit of it without volume, like where he's boxing, the I'm a Fighter one. I'll play
We
it.
gotta play that one.
Yeah.
We gotta play that one.
I haven't seen the words. I just saw the shadow and I laughed, and then I didn't get back to it.
Yeah, he's so
This summer.
tough guy,
It's
Jagmeet. Tough guy, Jagmeet. Look at this. Look at this.
I wasn't raised to be a politician. Never dreamed of becoming one. I worked for minimum wage to take care of my family when my dad was sick, and made it out of law school to see the system only works for those at the top. So I got in the ring to take on the powerful few and fight for you. It's time for someone in your corner, especially when times are tough. I won't back down. I won't stop fighting for you. I'm ready.
So yeah, this is Jagmeet has kind of gotten into this new shtick, for those who don't know, that he's the only tough guy in the room. He's the only tough guy who can take Trump on, and blah 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 blah. These guys, they can't take Trump on. I can take Trump on. I'm the guy. I'm the man. And the best part is, I want to read an operative part of the joint statement between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi. It's a very important operative part. The leaders also committed to strengthen law enforcement cooperation to take decisive action against illegal immigration networks, organized crime syndicates, including narco-terrorists, human and armed traffickers, as well as other elements who threaten public and diplomatic safety and security and the sovereignty and territorial integrity of both nations. We literally know what this statement is naming without naming them. This is a joint statement signed by the Americans and the Indians when Prime Minister Modi was there. Khalistanis, you're done. They're done. This is a literal statement.
Yeah, Cash.
This is before Cash. This is before Cash got nominated and selected. I think this was the day Tulsi got nominated, because I think Tulsi was the first person Prime Minister Modi met when he landed there.
Yeah, I think it was first meeting. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting times for Canada. Like, I don't know how our criminal economy is going to do, because again, Canada's entire economy is human trafficking, money laundering, fentanyl smuggling, general criminality. So yeah, when that gets shut down, like, it's going to be interesting, because the GDP numbers will fall. Now, it won't affect normal people. Like, no one, like the Canadian economy as it is now doesn't help anyone who isn't a terrorist. but we sort of have these high, like these GDP is increasing numbers. So the country's been in a recession since definitely 2019. Can't remember. I think we were in a recession before COVID, and then COVID hit. And I think that's one of the reasons why they were so happy with lockdowns, is because then they could blame the recession on COVID and all gets lost in the mix. And then Russia, Ukraine happened, so they can blame all their COVID spending on Russia and all that. But we've been in recession for like 5 years now.
So here's my worry. So I was tweeting incessantly like a madman when Modi was in Canada, in America, and here are my thoughts on the trip. Listen, Trump is very good for India is because India's foreign policy is very transactional. India has never had, we are part of one bloc. India is part of no bloc. India is part of only one bloc. In that sense, it's Bloc India. And India is a very non-invasive sort of a foreign policy. It doesn't go and invade countries, doesn't try to give them freedom and democracy or that sort of stuff. And I think Trump is going to be perfect for India is because Trump by nature is also a very transactional human being. Now, what is happening right now is the F-35 sale is up, right, for India. The Trump administration has shown interest. So basically, Trump is basically arm twisting India. It's like, buy my shit. And India is going to comply even before Modi landed, right? Custom duties were slashed on majority of items.
Yeah.
Trump is obsessed with Harley Davidsons. I think Trump thinks Indians love Harley Davidsons. And he thinks the Indian government is not allowing Americans to sell Harley Davidsons. I think Trump has bad advisors because no Indian is going to buy a Harley Davidson. But I think this is the perfect bargaining chip because India should be like, no tariffs. Please bring your Harleys in. Nobody's going to buy Harleys in India. Have you seen Indian roads?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to buy a Harley Davidson.
Yeah, like the only motorcycles you might get at high-end ones are like the Mitsubishi ones, like the swervy ones. But after going to India and driving around, you're not going to sell Harleys in that country.
Yeah, so but
you might get some very, very rich guys buying some if they're Harley fans to like go around in the track. But all those people own Harleys anyway, because if you're like they're rich enough, if it's like if it's 20,000 instead of 10,000, like who cares? Like, it's that. But yeah, I mean, you take the import duties off Harley Davidson, sure. Give Trump a win, but it's not a country where Harley Davidson really has a market because of the roads and the way people drive there. Like, it's not conducive to the Harleys.
And listen, India already has a market for that kind. We have the Royal Enfield and the Bullet, and they were always there from day one. And a lot of Indians just buy those bikes. There is a biking culture in India. The Indians love to go around, and some of my school friends were also part of a bikers club, and they have bikers clubs in India. But the point is, everything that Trump got for America, I was just reading the list of things that Trump was trying to push for America, whether it's oil or many other things. Three American provinces also grow lentils, and they are trying to sell lentils to India too, because that is something India needs desperately. A lot of lentils, because Indians consume tons of lentils and pulses. And as I kept on going through the list, and I was like, so many of these things can be Canada doing business with India. But such is the genius of Justin Trudeau that he has burnt all bridges with India. Literally all bridges with India. And what I don't understand is, I remember this clip of, Francois Blanchet, who is Francois, who was the Bloc Québécois guy. And he's fiercely opposed to any kind of transport of hydrocarbons. I mean, what is his problem in life? Like, what is the problem with Francois? Why does he want to stop transport of,
because he's French, and the whole
from
thing
Western
with
Canada?
the French Bloc Québécois is being obstinate to the rest of Canada. Like that, they're obstinate children. They're just being obstinate. if we wanted to kill the energy industry, they'd start fracking. It's pure obstinance. In every sense of the word, just obstinate behavior from an overgrown French toddler. Fucking French.
It's so frustrating, man. It's just frustrating. I want to play that clip. It's just, I think Indians should know and Indo-Canadians should know about this Muppet political party, Bloc Québécois. I mean, I'm never voting for them. Never, ever. A, they're separatists. I will never vote for a separatist party.
And B, they don't run
And listen to
candidates
this
in Ontario.
nonsense. Yeah.
Fiercely opposed to any type of transport on Quebec territory of hydrocarbons from Western Canada to any market whatsoever. It does not serve Quebec. It does not serve the environment. It does not serve the planet. See, it's a mirage that we are always being told. The LNG zombie that was never really alive, that we reanimate as a kind of slogan. The pro-hydrocarbon speech that even Mr. Carney is starting to hold as if there were a future in Western Canadian hydrocarbons. The sacrifice of interests in green energies that make Quebec rich.
You know who should leave Canada? Alberta should leave Canada.
Yeah. Oh, if
That's
Trump
the one
was
promise
smart,
that should leave Canada.
if Trump was smart and actually wanted to expand, like, listen, Trump just wanted to expand and get a 51st state. If Trump was actually smart, he should say, you know what? Oh, Canada's such a hellhole. They have terrible economy, whatever. Albertans, lots of great people. They're very proud of this. They want out. They keep saying, we'd let Alberta be the 51st province, 51st state. If Alberta votes to become the 51st state, we'll let them. That's what he should have said. Yeah, Alberta will become the 51st state if they want to. We'll let them in. Canada's so bad to them. They have so much energy, so much good energy, so much oil, so many resources. But Canada's just so terrible to them. So mean. They don't have rights. They would be much better as a state, right? Central Canada, Ontario, Quebec, they hold all the power. Don't give it up. Not like our system where everyone gets power, or even the small country, states like Rhode Island, they get 2 senators. It's a balance. We bring them in. Well, I think Alberta would be the 51st state. Said that,
Yeah.
you might get Alberta to jump ship because Alberta hates Trudeau and the Liberals, and the Liberals hate Alberta, and it would force the Liberals to and the rest of Canada actually be like, oh, we actually have to do something, because that would be the best for Canada, because then we'd be forced to be like, okay, if we want to keep Alberta, we actually have to, have an economy and, get resources to market. But because they made Canada itself the entire 51st state, kind of diluted this whole thing. But c'est la vie.
Yeah, and by the way, I just wanted to back what Daniel said about drug Ford and that entire trucking license thing. So Stephen Punwasi had also tweeted this. Between 2017 and 24, Ontario went from 80 truck driving schools to 280. The province has 6 auditors for 600 private career colleges, almost half for trucks. Apparently, no enforcement standards. The industry thinks it's absurd. This is trucknews.com. Quote, there's way too many satisfactory ratings on audited carriers. There are over 80% of the carriers that are satisfactory unaudited, which means nobody's ever looked at their files. So Daniel is right. I'm just backing Daniel up with actual news reports. Yes, there are news reports that are covering this issue, that anybody is being given trucking licenses and permissions to ride trucks in Canada willy-nilly. And holy shit.
Yeah, and you're surprised when it's even worse than that. But yeah, then these people these are the ones who are running drugs between Canada and the US.
Oh man, it's just I just think there's so much potential, and Canada is just a classic case of so many lost opportunities, so many chances that somebody can take to do trade. But it's like it's just the weirdest moment in Canadian history where you have a prime minister who does not have the confidence of the people. You have a government that does not have the confidence of the people. You have a president next door who basically wants to really, like, there was a Trudeau clip where he said, no, Trump really wants to annex Canada. What the hell is happening? I don't understand. Oh, I wanted to talk about the hockey game. Did you watch the game?
Yep.
So
Great
at
game.
least one good news.
Yeah, great game. Thank you, Connor McDavid. You know, another 3-2 win over the Americans. Classic. It was a nice symmetry. Connor McDavid, you know, Sidney Crosby in 2010 was the assistant captain of Team Canada, the up-and-coming star. Well, not so much up-and-coming, but like established superstar best player. Scores the overtime winning goal in a 3-2 to beat the Americans in overtime. Then he's now captain of Canada. And then Connor McDavid, kind of undisputed greatest player in the world, assistant captain for Canada, scores the overtime game-winning goal, 3-2, defeats the Americans. Nice symmetry, and I'm happy we got a nice little moment for the country there. That was a nice little dopamine spike for the homies. And yeah, I mean, like, if we could just settle all these problems with hockey players, we'd have a done. Just like drop the gloves, buckets, and, you know, just fight it out. And people think like people need to. I'm going to explain to the Indian audience kind of about hockey fights and hockey players. Hockey players are a different breed.
I want to play the. I want to play the winning goal. Let's play the winning goal though. This was beautiful. I did try to follow the game, so
Marner, McDavid, snipe.
you know it's been a great few days. Canada beat America in hockey. India beat Pakistan. Life is good.
Yeah.
Couldn't be better. All good. Life is good. Look at those Americans. Life is good.
And this is great for hockey. Like the
enjoyed
Americans
this.
got into hockey. I was really happy. Like the Americans loved this tournament. Everyone kind of loved this tournament. No, it was a great little because we haven't had Olympic hockey in a while. But for like hockey fights, explain to Indians, hockey players enjoy facial trauma. They enjoy it. That's why they don't play with a mask. Like they like getting hit in the face with pucks and all that. It's like a status symbol among them. Like there's a real tough mentality. So like before there was kind of like hype and like, you know, with the two countries feuding, and like a lot of these hockey players are friends and they play together, but they'd be like, oh yeah, crowds get going. Should we drop the gloves? Or, yeah, okay, fine, we'll do that. It's not like hatred of each other for the hockey players, at least. It's like things are getting electric and like, okay, we're gonna fight it out. And then like the Kachuk brothers fought and then someone else, and then people were talking, and then everyone just had to get it out of their system. So like, yeah, you saw that during the round robin, like people fight around. And then when it got to the finals, everyone buckles down, then they don't waste time with fights. But it's more of like a stress relief ritual for the hockey players. Like, all right, let's get everyone hyped up. Let's do this. We need to fight. Like, let's go. So it's not like, oh my God, these countries hate each other and these people really hate each other. When hockey players fight, like, yeah, sometimes it's hatred and sometimes it's like the code and honor and to get people go. Like they're weird people. It's a weird culture, but we love it.
Yeah. And so many weird bits from the liberal debate, but this one by Chrystia Freeland was very confusing. I don't know what this was in
Mr. Speaker.
context of, but no, she's so weird. Like, listen to this 30-second
Mr.
clip. I think we
Speaker.
can wrap up by this weirdness by Chris. She's so weird. Like her voice is squeaky. That's fine, but listen to this.
We need to recognize President Trump has said dozens of times he wants us to be the 51st state. I don't think any of us wants to be the leader who was asleep at the wheel and didn't get Canada defended, did not work with our democratic allies to protect our borders. They want to work with us. It's time for us to step up at home, to urgently reach out to them and build a new world order where democracy and Canadian sovereignty is protected.
The hell is a new world order now? Which is like she's
That's
using
not the best part.
WWE references.
The best part is she says we don't want to be the ones who are asleep at the wheel. You are asleep at the wheel. You prorogue Parliament. Everything terrorist. Like there's been no Parliament for like 3 months now to do this ridiculous dog and pony show because Justin Trudeau didn't have enough honor to go down with the ship. Jesus fucking Christ. These people. We need to work with our
Why are
allies
these
to
people
secure
so
our borders.
weird?
Like, what do they mean secure our borders? Our borders are porous. Like, if you secure the borders, that fixes the problem with America. By securing the borders, she means securing them from America, which means unsecuring the borders, which means opening the borders. I hate this. Oh, I hate everything. Nuke me. I'm calling for a nuclear first strike on me to just put me out of my misery so I don't have to watch any more Christopher Freeland clips. Yes. Nuke me. I'm asking Pakistan. I know you don't like me.
Yeah.
This could be a
So we
good
just had
win-win for both of us.
one comment. Yeah, Polyev is going to eat and shit these buffoons out on the debate stage. Whoever is picked to be leader, mostly Carney, but I hope it's Freeland because all conservatives will be voting against Carney. I don't know what this means, but okay.
He means conservatives. I mean, all the people voting sarcastically in the liberal leadership race will be probably voting against Carney. So, like, there's a new push to say, okay, if you wanted to vote for Ruby Dhalla, like Chandra Arya became Ruby Dhalla, which I think people are just going to be smart enough to be like, let's just go to Christopher Freeland, right? If we're going to fuck them up, like they can't get rid of Christopher Freeland. Okay, so we'll just vote Christopher Freeland. Fine. That's it. But yeah, like, again, liberals are only good in their perfectly climate-controlled environment. Once you take them out of that thing, they fall apart.
Oh, and today is an auspicious day. Isn't this Jagmeet Singh pension day?
Yep.
Congratulations, Jagmeet. You finally have money.
Happy pension to you. Happy pension to you. Happy pension, dear Jagmeet. Happy pension to you. Khalistan Zindabad.
Yeah, I think this was the perfect way to end today's podcast. Well, first of all, I once again want to apologize that for the last 2 weeks we were not able to do our regular discussion because after all, Daniel has to get over his jet lag too, and we were just trying to get our bearings in order. But we will be back in our regular weekly or at least once in 10-day schedule. Now we will be covering the podcast regularly, and we will be covering Canadian issues regularly. I mean, it was just harder to do it when we were on the road in India, but we still try to do it. But yep. Anything else, Dan? You think we have left that is not being covered over here?
I think we hit it all. Shout out to all my homies on lockdown. Kicked out of the Liberal Party. That'd be Chandra Arya and Ruby Dhalla. RIP. You did well. I like to say a special thank you to Xi Jinping for not kicking me out of the race. Xi Jinping, I promise to, max attacks, cut the jobs, break the country. Basically vote for me or else I'll throw you in a concentration camp. It's Saskatchewan.
Yeah. I mean, all I can say is I think I will leave everybody, all our Canadian listeners, with this one last clip of President Trump. I think President Trump is a genius. I mean, the way Trump talks, he just frustrates the shit out of people. Look at this.
This hour from the White House, where President Donald Trump was just asked about his so-called 51st state threats. Listen to this.
They told me there is a path. Alberta is first, and if they sign on, Saskatchewan would follow, and then you go west to British Columbia. There is a movement in Canada to join us. I want to get your thoughts on that and how that's proceeding right now.
So it's true. Thank you, Brian. It's true. A lot of people in Canada are liking becoming our beautiful, cherished 51st state. They'll have to pay much lower taxes. They'll have the ultimate security. They don't pay very much for security right now because they rely on us, which is really unfair to us. They make cars that we could make, and they send them back into the United States. They make a lot of things, including the sending of oil and everything. We don't need their oil. We don't need their lumber. In fact, we're going to be.
Just a tiny fact check there. Most recent polling shows about 7 in 10 Canadians are, in fact, not open to the idea of joining the United States.
It's unbelievable. He's trolling you. He's literally trolling you. And they just fall for it every time. I don't know why Canadians fall for it every time. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll wrap up. I think this was the perfect way to wrap today's discussion up. Once again, I apologize that we had a 2-week break. We'll be back on schedule. And Daniel and I will keep entertaining you with different news. Still have to maintain the hockey victory against America was so nice. It was good. I still remember. I think it was a 2001 or 2 Olympic match
2002.
where Canada, yeah, 2002.
Salt Lake City.
I still remember that one of the best moments. I still remember running down Yonge Street, screaming for no reason at all, but I was screaming, and I had barely understood hockey at that time, but it was fun. And if you want to follow Daniel, go on X. His X handle is there. You want to send him donations through PayPal. His PayPal link is also there. If you want to send me donations in Canada, it's Interac Canada, kushalmehra81@gmail.com is the email ID. In India, you can use UPI kushalmehra@ICICI. But if you really want to support this podcast all the time, please consider joining the membership program, which is either on YouTube or on Patreon. If you want to buy Cārvāka podcast merchandise, you can go on kushalmehra.com/shop. As you know, we love free speech on this podcast. So even at the risk of being sometimes not liked by a lot of people, I still push for free speech and its boundaries. And if you want to join the swearing ceremony, swearing as in not the swearing, the literal swear word ceremony, so please buy the Galidas t-shirt if you guys can. Indians will know what the pun is. And if you have, well, somebody is gifted 5 memberships, so whosoever wants to make most of it, please use it. Thank you, Brijesh. And if you can't do anything, just like this video, subscribe to the Cārvāka podcast YouTube channel, and do check out the playlist Canada. And if you're an audio listener, just like again and leave a rating over there. We will see you next time. Until then, namaste, take care, bye bye.